Well, if it isn't ThursdAliens, it's your weekly program that is all about games powered by the Adventure Game Engine. And today, whoa, blowing my eardrums out. Hey, Michael and Chad, I see you. Tempo, I see you. Tempo says definitely hearing it. We've got one of our favorite guests. Industry luminary, plenipotentiary, swordsman, gentleman, friend to the end, your buddy in Canada, and of course, accompanied by our friend and co-developer designer in this community project, Duke. But, of course, I'm talking about this guy right here, Malcolm Sheppard. How are you, my friend?
It's him.
Oh, I'm doing okay. It's getting chilly up here.
Yes, same.
And after some very pleasant summery weather with no bugs that runs late. I love it. We get a lot of mosquitoes up here.
Summer. Yeah, I bet. So. I bet. I'm trying to think of how close are we in climate or temperature. The romper room hellos are always so cute, Troy. I know that's
I know that it's colder where I am than where you are, but not as cold as where some other people we know are.
Yes, that's true. Some other people do.
Well, I'm just like as much. No, I shouldn't be telling everyone where people live.
Absolutely right.
don't dox us all.
Oh shoot! I forgot. Malcolm, I know we have this as part of your contract. Hold on one second. There we go. Nice. Nice. There you go. Hopefully,
I'm going to say you've reached the conceptual limit of that.
Listen, I had plans. I have big plans with that bit, and it's I just didn't have the time to deliver. Hey, listen, Malcolm. First of all, thank you so much. I think we probably scared some people in chat. Not much of a crowd here today. Did everyone else think Thursday was canceled like it was last week? So it was canceled last week because your buddy, your disembodied buddy, had food poisoning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bad. Yes, that is quite theatrical. Tiffo says. I had a bad bowl of bulgogi, and it just kind of stuck with me to the point now. If I even say the word bulgogi, I get a little nauseous.
Like a
well, it's always a little fun to have an alliterative illness.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. With a glottal in there, it just kind of right in the spot. But enough of that. We're here today because, Duke and Ren and I have been working. We've been just creating our fingers to the bone. We were making this battle map, and it suddenly turned into a giant setting. And
happens,
and we ran with it. It does happen. Yeah, absolutely. Desmond says bulgogi has become a word of power, like the power word pain and kill. Indeed. You say bulgogi and I'll just start vomiting.
I hear bad bulgogi's doing the Super Bowl.
Well, and let me tell you, Americans, that's so good. But yeah, so Malcolm, you early on in our process, when we decided that we were just going to ride this dragon to wherever it was going to take us, chase the dragon, as it were. You gave us some kind of initial advice and thoughts, and and we kind of took some of those to heart, and then we promptly forgot them and just ran amok.
Yeah,
we just went crazy.
When you got there, you have built-in conflict and things like that, and that was mostly what I was talking about.
That was exactly right.
It's just having the tools built into the setting to make it gameable.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah. Pretty funny stuff. I'm doing this real quick because I'm going to do this and this. There we go. Look at that little switcherooski. So this is what we're talking about, friends. We're talking about, hey, Paul, the Bulgogi, king of monsters. Indeed. Listen, I'm getting choked up just thinking about Bulgogi. Okay.
Don't think about it.
So we started off, this was going to be just a simple battle map. And then it turned into, let's do a battle map on a kaiju. And then that turned into, of course, 2 cities. And then the concept, of course, is that we have the folks in chat. They're the arbiters. One of the things, Malcolm, I'm trying to build into this process is opportunities for significant voting or engagement or interaction through Discord and in our places, like the think tank, where we float important notions, people vote, and then we go one way or the other, depending upon what they say. And so that's what last week we talked about. We got kind of the week before last, we talked about getting everybody amped up for that stuff. And that's how you can influence the design part. And of course, the arbiters, being the chat, know all about that. And we talked about the design team, and we talked about, look at that little guy, the tardigrade, which is a sort of squishy, floaty, balloony kind of animal in the world.
Yes.
Arch.
All of its behavior comes from a network of 200 neurons.
Yes, indeed.
I learned about this today.
Yeah.
Not today, yesterday. I was watching neuroscientist.
And they went deep on the tardigrade?
Yeah, well, they were scaling up, right? Because a tardigrade has 200, and then you scale up and you scale up and you scale up. And I think it's like by the time you get to like 8 billion connections, you have something that can run a human.
Oh, I see.
Well, something that can run a human.
What's the difference between a tardigrade and I mean, were we at billions?
Yes, we're at the billions. The tardigrade does, tardigrades are microscopic, right? So
yeah, right.
Unless you turn them into monsters, in which case you make them bigger, or unless you make the PCs much, much smaller.
In this world, they become a little bit bigger, but they're not menacing.
Yeah,
they're like
maybe that's like the meta plot secret. The dragons are like, are like 3 feet long. It's just everybody's really tiny.
Oh no, we're all running on 50 neurons.
Yeah.
Some days, I tell you.
It's hard for them to figure it out because they're running along with 200 neurons a pop. Just trying to make their way through life.
The brain just smoking when it comes to some kind of executive function. Okay, so
I think our version has like a couple more neurons. They're also cuddly and lovely.
Right.
They have neurons for that.
They're kind of sweet. The idea is, I mean, as much as they can be, I think, humans do what humans do. Okay, so we've established all of that. So, Malcolm, one of the issues that we have as well is that it's the order of operations. So we have our 2 cities, one that Duke has and one that Ren has. And Ren would be joining us, but they just welcomed a new baby into their family.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
I did hear about that. So let me extend my congratulations via broadcasting.
Doodly dudes. There you go, friend. Yeah, they are over the moon, and both of them are doing well. And new dad and all that. It's one of those moments that you just gotta savor, for sure. Yeah. And let's see, 200 factorial connections, then the tardigrade potentially, if my math is right. Well, we're just going to presume it is because my math is always wrong. Paul says, this is so great. Malcolm is bringing the vibes like Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park, as played by both hosts of the mission show at the same time.
Pete's bringing the Fly vibes.
Yeah, that's true. that has one of my, I don't know if it was a formative moment or what, but it is where his fingernails are kind of popping and he's getting real fly-y, and they're kind of yeah.
There were a bunch of nasty moments there. Yeah,
bad bulgogi. Let me tell you. Okay, so Malcolm, you often. More often than not, when you're working on some of these, you have moments of like where it's you working on stuff that people have given you, or it's you working on stuff that's with people directly. In the process, do you have like a kind of baked in, Yeah, when I do this stuff, I assign it, I read it, I edit it, we do it, and it's done. Like, is there a kind of order of operations that you follow?
Well, I mean, what we normally do is I will outline the book, and then I'll find people to write the book, and they'll each get assignments, and I'll send the assignments out, and then they send in their first drafts based on outline and discussion to get them roughly on the same page. I'm a little different from other developers in that I don't care how much the writers agree as much as I think maybe they do, because I want to get these like I just want to see this weird left field stuff come in, right?
Yeah,
And then
okay.
the idea is that I make the decisions about what to bring in and what to do other things with. And like one of the secrets is that if you have a good outline, the writers very rarely contradict each other, right? Usually the big thing is that they do their drafts, they send them in. I put notes on the drafts, what are called red lines, right?
Yeah.
So those are editorially annotated drafts where I say, do this, fix this, and so on. I normally don't. I will get into stylistic stuff, but I normally won't get into like grammar and stuff because we have a different editorial process for that.
Smart.
And then I send it back and I get second drafts that conform to my red lines, although sometimes people will talk to me because they want to go in a certain direction. But most of the work I do in the red lines is to like get them to fill in things where I think there's a gap in sort of portraying what they want to portray, and also to get them to pull out really good ideas that they've gotten, but I don't feel that they have explored fully enough, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like, this is cool, do more of this, right? And then the last part, which I've spoken about before, is just to get everybody smooth things out stylistically so that I can't see that you were trying to come up with an idea for 3 pages and then you get the idea on page 4,
I see.
right? Because when you write, your writing conforms to your brain's rhythm,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's why often, that's why you can often cut a lot of the beginning of anything you work on, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like I recently, I'm finally, writing my trunk novel. One of my hobbies is that I have been composing a fantasy novel in my head for 30 years. So every once in a while I write bits of it out, and then I realized that like I spent a lot of time talking about like a big inn where a meeting happens once and then everybody leaves. So maybe I'm actually talking about the inn to stall before I come up with an actual good idea. I will throw this bad idea at you. Right. So I try to like refine stuff away from that. Now for something like this,
Yeah.
because I've looked at it, we're in an outlining stage, right? And I think that's not going to be an issue because here's the thing. There's a difference between when I'm doing something for like a product, right? For a published release. And, when people are working on, stuff that is functional to their brains and table, right? Usually if it's stuff that's functional to your brains and table, it doesn't need to be as long and it doesn't need to meander about. And this can actually create advantages, right? Because where somebody like me, I have to produce something, that is readable chunks of text, right? That
Yeah.
that can be printed and read by, but and to do that, I need to build out from the initial ideas, right? Both to get the language right technically, and to come up with cool ways to describe things, right? Whereas if you are just making notes for yourself, right, you have the advantage in that you're not going to wander away trying to fill this stuff in, right? You have an idea, you're sticking to it, you're writing it out in point form. That's those distractions aren't going to creep in. And also, you don't necessarily need to make it pretty because you know what you're talking about, right? And
Yeah.
also, as at the table or in an environment like this, pretty much, the medium of performance is going to be your voice or your keyboard, right?
Right.
And that's where the on the spot creativity is going to happen at your table. So you don't actually need much for that, right? Which raises the question of why you should buy game supplements at all. And I'm just going to go hide while we put no. No, what it comes down to is that it's the value of coherent description and ideas that you would not normally have, and also the ability to follow some of those ideas very, very thoroughly, right? Right. It's the labor that we can provide, right? And that's what I guess, to get very capitalist for a second, in our company Thursday stream, that is the value proposition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Okay.
really cool to see stuff like this because this is directed at play and there's potential for it to go either way. Right. Like, I think this could be expressed really well, for example, with like a living type of campaign. I just have no interest in organizing that for you.
Right.
But I think it would be really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and that's kind of, we're sort of taking it somewhere where, I don't really know, but there is the fun of the experience is really important.
Yeah.
We get to kind of hang out together as a design team and get closer with the community, and it's all just good fun. But I do have a question about when you get a sense of feature creep, or that things are, granted, we're, the big haha here is that it started out as a map and now it's something else, which is great, but that's, and that's what we're doing. When it comes time to sort of think about where we stop, do you have rules, or do you share sort of wisdom with folks, that kind of declares like, hey, you might be headed too deep?
You might be headed too deep. No, not really. I mean, sometimes people will get stuck on a tangent that's not important, right?
Yeah.
But that's usually something that happens more in adventures, right?
Yeah.
Because when it comes to raw setting stuff, you never know what's going to be useful. Like what people eat will be useful, right? Like common customs will be useful. And even if they're not like a utilitarian piece of story you can dump in, right? Yeah. It is, you are also supposed to soak up the vibes, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Like you should get sensory and emotional impressions. Right?
Yes,
from
absolutely.
the material, and that's what allows you to run it. Because, like, remember, what it all comes down to is that we have to describe things happening to people in a fictional world. And if we have no sensory or emotive precursors for that, then it's going to get like really generic, right? Because what are you going to, without inspirations, what are you going to fall on? You're going to fall on stereotypes, right?
True.
You're going to fall on cliches.
Yeah.
You're going to just grab whatever's there, right? And that's not bad all the time either. But it's not, I don't feel it's sustainable, right? And especially now that I get older and I run into gamers who are a little more set in their ways, I find that the people who are very into, like, I want nothing but escapism. I have been playing this type of fighter since 1983 and I want to continue to do so. Right. They're also the folks who's like, oh, I can't sustain a campaign anymore. Well, of course you can. What is there to do?
Right.
Like,
if they're always
besides just being that guy.
they're chasing that one special experience they had so many years ago.
Yeah, and you have to have different ones because
yeah.
because you are mortal, and otherwise you are wasting time.
right. And
Indeed.
the fact that even if you don't change, things change around you,
Yes,
and those same tropes and those same ideas just don't necessarily fly as high. Or
that's very true as well, right? Or they could be expressed differently or with complexity. Right. I was thinking about this the other day. Does anybody watch the Foundation TV series?
I haven't yet.
Yes, vigorously. It's fantastic.
You don't watch You don't watch Lee Pace walking around.
I heard so many
without a
good things
being
shirt?
hot.
And I love Lee Pace. I think he's great. He's one of my favorites.
He's beautiful. He's a
He is
beautiful
a
man.
beautiful man.
Anyway, enough about that. But I will mention him again. So, like, he's one of those 3 cloned emperors, right? And he, they have these courtesans. It's like this terrible practice where, they have these courtesans who get paid a lot of money, but then their memories of being with this person, being with the emperor, being with empire is wiped, right? And so this one iteration of this clone emperor decides, like, he felt really close to this woman, and she said she wanted to stay with him, and he has secret knowledge to share with her and wants to give her back her memory and go to save her. And
she's not into it.
And sorry, I just got distracted by the chat. But when he, and if this was something from the 80s or the early 90s, what would happen? Oh, it would be a princess story.
That's
and
right.
she'd get her memories back.
Yeah.
And then she would be on side, and they would be, and they would be lovers again. Instead, what happens is that, she is shocked that the Emperor of the Galaxy shows up, is frightened of him, and says, I had a business arrangement with you, and I have no desire to remember any of it. And then her wife shows up and electrocutes him. Oh, sorry. Spoilers for Foundation season 3.
Spoilers for season 3.
I didn't
Always fun to get the spoiler alert after the spoiler.
That is that is an instance of this trope, right?
Yes, it is.
Like Cephanol saving princess trope being updated, right?
Right.
And I know those of you who are also thinking, oh, that makes the emperor like a bad guy. Well, he recognizes that he's structurally a bad guy, and then once he regains consciousness, he goes, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you had someone.
Now, does he say I'm so sorry? Is he in fact Canadian, or is it?
No, it's a real sorry, not a Canadian sorry.
no Canadian.
The insensitive Canadian.
Anyway,
story.
like, that was my roundabout way of saying, like, yes, you can update these stories, and it adds stuff. It doesn't take it away. All these arguments that, like, the internet means that you can't do your favorite things are dumb, and you should consider, like, maybe your favorite things are boring now. Right. Maybe your favorite things are dumb now, right? You can still do them.
Yeah,
we just don't have to support them.
Well, so here's a question I have for you as well. Is you kind of have to put on a different hat when you're developing for people that aren't you.
Yes, that's very true.
Yes.
That's it strikes me every once in a while when for what's interesting working with both Duke and I'll say this about the TTRPG community, much like the gaming community, like video gaming community, they have become. They are not the simple savages that once roamed the earth of the TTRPG world.
The neckbeards are not running the show anymore. You mean?
They are. It's not like like walking through Jurassic Park. It's like you've got a real savviness, a real understanding of not only what it means to write something that is compelling, but to be honest with your criticism and your and about what you can do or how you might want to change something to be, I don't want to say mass market appeal, but to appeal to a frame of mind beyond your own. And the other thing that's fascinating is that just the quality of the work. Now, I look back on, people who were engaged in sort of writing stories and kind of stepping into TTRPG stuff, and they had a lot of learning to do. I feel like the modern TTRPG consumer is just so much more savvy than they once were expected to be, and they start to know things about like branding and person, kind of all this stuff that really wasn't it. The hobby did not necessitate that depth, What do you, Malcolm? Given that you've done this now for, I believe you're in your 80th year of creating. Talk to me, though. Jokes aside, talk to me about how you have seen the TTRPG player community evolve over time.
It was super important for millennials to get interested. It was super duper important for newer players to get interested.
Yeah.
Because in like the early 2000s, right? There was an explosion with Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition and 3.5, right? Those were big deals, but they really more revived the existing community. And that was basically people who look like me started buying D&D again, right?
Right.
And there was a little progress beyond that, right? Because there was just enough of a bump for it to, have some cultural emergence. And then when online play and especially streams started to become a thing, and gamers discovered it and eventually sort of drew it into their own medium. And and I will say that one criticism I've heard, and this is going to sound, a little picky and leftist and mean, is that classic fantasy gaming, right, explicitly references Westerns as an inspiration, right? That's written down in D&D, and there's the idea of like this kind of colonial frontier thing, and we're moving away from that. But the criticism I've heard is that we're moving away from colonial conquest adventures to things that are a little more like status quo enforcing liberal comfort adventures, right? That maybe we shouldn't have adventures where we lionize the status quo, even if we made a pretend world where the status quo is good, right? Which is there is a conflict in there, because on one hand, like, people are not obligated to like confront the world's problems at the game table all the time, right?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like, you can, you can do blood and thunder and lightning and, have those kinds of adventures, and it's great. And there's nothing wrong with it. Right. But, all of your stuff comes from somewhere, right? All of your ideas come from places, and those places are politically situated.
Yeah.
Politically situated. Geez. And, that's where those ideas come from. So there's always something kind of buried in there. And the question is, like, are you going to confront that or not? And I think on one hand, certainly now that we have more diversity on the creative side as well as the play side, like, people are tired of having those colonial adventures. And also they want some, maybe they want a story where they have some relief from the, from stuff they hate that happens
from the allegories. Yeah. Right.
From the actuality. Right?
Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
but
here's
at the
something as
same
well.
time,
You go, please continue.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can ask, like, how much is this escapism good for us, and and how creatively fruitful is it, right? Because while while crowning Aragorn is cool on one hand, right?
Yeah.
It's more fun to go, like, how can a good person use imperial power?
Right.
Right? To
Yeah.
ask that,
Yeah.
to ask yourself that question, right? Is that even possible? Right? Like, we're making Aragorn a king. We know structurally, we know we're not fond of monarchies as a general thing,
Yeah.
or at least monarchies with power. And we shouldn't like monarchies generally.
Well, and they
but
something that
but
is
we have good guy
necessarily
monarchies.
for
Oh,
all.
I could go on, and there's blue rose and blah blah blah. I'll stop because we're
Yes,
getting away from the dragon.
we are, but I want to draw
It's an
us
interesting tangent. It's
I want
fine.
to draw us back to it is, and we like to go wherever you take us, Malcolm. But I want to draw us back to the evaluation that you've got. So Nate in chat said something that I think is not as Nate, not to critique you, but I don't think we're talking about this. We're not talking about, oh, it's no longer about killing dragons. We've got to, DEI, blah, 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 blah. That's not what this is about. It's about a very new group taking a spin through some old tropes that sometimes it doesn't matter who you are. You just want to go hack and slash. You just want to have a good battle. You want to have a fight. You want to win. You want to do whatever. And it's, orcs invade or whatever.
Yeah.
But Malcolm's mentioning the fact that it's not all TTRPGs being sort of brought about at a time when, where do you take a pretend world when it's about exploration and colonization and all of that? And back in the day, it was a different. Oh, I know he was, Michael. I know he was. But I'm using it as a riff and listening to what he's saying. There's something deeper going on here, and that is that the shift in paradigm from, where do we do this pretend place? Well, of course, we take it to like you said, we take it to the West, the Wild West. It's a whole new world where we're just finding new caves every day with more monsters in them. But there is there's something, I think, even more when I was talking about the evolution of the gamer, especially in the TTRPG space, but also it's happening across other creative endeavors like video games as well. That the line between creator and participant is really blurring, like in a very sort of everybody who's playing can have it, can publish something today. Like, I mean, it's that easy as far as like having the will to do so. But it seems like along with those technologies and that exposure and opportunity, that the gamers have become just better at gaming and better at understanding kind of the systems that brought the game to them in the first place, the marketing, the PR, the all of the things. They're oftentimes doing their own work if they're streamers or if they've published something, or I'm wondering if that differs greatly, or if just because I don't remember as far back as you do.
I think in a lot of well, here's the thing. I mean, originally nobody knew why there would be a market for modules in Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
Because they assumed everybody would just make their own adventures and their own settings and things like that, right? Although settings were not well conceived of at the time. Like the first ever RPG map was an upside down map of North America, right?
Right.
Like that was the original Greyhawk map. Right. But yes, that's exactly what I was going to mention, Michael, is that, you had, because RPG players were connected to fandom, right?
Yeah.
And fandom was a creative community. You did immediately get people selling their own supplements and things, right? And certainly one of the big developments in RPGs was Dragonlance, right? Which was, this attempt to, explicitly build up a fantasy novel series, from a bunch of D&D adventures, right?
Yeah.
But the Hickman and Weiss started out publishing their own modules, right? And some of those were republished by TSR. So we have, and I think that's like Desert or Desolation and that stuff. So when you go back, right, people have been self-publishing, contributing for a long time. I think the difference is that the barrier to broadcasting your ideas and monetizing them have dropped. And also the medium is not like, all of our media have become kind of squished together, right? Because it's all digital, right? So,
all of it vying via algorithm to get your attention in some way.
Yeah. So, so I'm looking at a screen now, right? Talking to you, and, I have minimized Acrobat screen that has Modern Age and Engine number 3 because I was looking at those today, right? So that's just another manifestation of looking at a screen. And, those were composed from Word and RTF files that are also looked at on a screen.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's, it's things are very fluid, right? And then when I play my game, normally my weekly, I play it out through Discord on a screen, right?
Yeah.
So what used to be, the medium of learning and reading RPGs, right, from the text was different than playing them, right?
Yeah.
That they're much more similar. And also the textual information is just out there everywhere, right? To the point where for the last few things I've done, my Explain RPGs introduction has been to go look it up on the internet.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like I can't put a YouTube video demonstrating how to play the game, in a PDF that would sell. Right. I certainly can't put it in a published book.
As powerfully. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. As impactful.
But I can point someone to it and they can figure out how to play. So that, it's an enormous difference. And you have, a generation of people who are native to using these tools, right? Millennials and younger. And so they are very adept at keeping up with these changes, with this progress. I will say my criticism, though, of where games are is, I think, in many ways, there's kind of a parallel with sort of the YA-ification of fantasy and science fiction.
Is it sort of like the Disneyfication of things? Sort of.
Like, young adult fiction has become very successful going on a particular template, right? And lots of games now reproduce that template or reproduce ideas from that template.
In what way do you see that coming out? Like, what are the markers of a okay, wow, they really walked this through the Hogwarts?
Is it set at a school? That's one big one. Is it set at a school? Are there factions that have an arbitrary rivalry that keeps the action going?
Yeah.
Right. Factions, special people. Really a lot of this is more a dialogue because you have games like Amber and Vampire the Masquerade that, of course, certainly have, social bickering as a big part of it, right? But now you have stuff that very, Harry Potter has a lot of Ars Magica's genetic material in it, which is why I found it very suspicious that that terrible person who writes them, like, specifically did not want a tabletop role-playing game. Apparently, I've heard rumors, industry rumors, and I wonder. Anyway, beyond that, right? So there's a lot of this stuff that I really identify as having inspirations in young adult fiction, in sort of like contemporary, like post 2000s anime and things like that,
Yeah.
right? So
that all makes,
we could do with doing more than that. And certainly I think there is a reluctance to approach mature topics again, because honestly, in the 90s, we gave it a shot and sometimes it was good. And a lot of the times it was real bad.
not so good. Yeah. Well, so here's a question for you then.
Creepy.
With a couple of the tropes that you brought up very specifically, like I said Hogwarts and you were like, a school's involved, like, yeah. So some of those things are on the surface pretty clear. And one of the things that we've kind of, I think, almost spontaneously, Duke, is, we're looking at sort of what's going on here, like what's the story, and the story about there is some allegory to the people in charge ginning up, a beef with a city that's all kind of fake, but it's just to kind of keep people, not paying attention to the real truth, which then isn't the real truth ultimately. Malcolm, I'm not sure if we told you this, but the original idea we were keeping kind of secret, the big twist was that the dragon was actually doing this all along and was just assembling a snack.
Yeah.
And Paul Rua in chat is the one that exposed our. He was like,
yeah, he exposed our great secret ideas.
Just
I think
right
how dare they?
One thing I wanted to actually talk about is that, when we do the highfalutin looking at things in terms of the, biases and allegories they represent, it's not just like, oh, look how far I can go up my own butt with something clever, right? It also comes down to if we think of, the archetypal relationship between adventurers and dragons, right? Which is like you go, you find one, and then you poke holes in it until it obligingly falls over and gives you its treasure. You have a different relationship here where, in a way, what's the contrasting relationship between people and the dragon if they live in the dragon, right?
It's very different. And that's one of the things I loved about this, is that it really didn't do the whole, oh, it's a dragon who's all smoky and cranky about you walking on its mountains.
So there's a dependency there, but also are the people kind of like the dragon's horde functionally now, right?
Kind of, right? Yeah.
And what's coming to try and win that?
That is interesting. What's also kind of interesting is that it's almost like the humans see the dragon as the horde, as the treasure, and they are fiercely,
while they themselves are the treasure.
They are.
I mean, the dragon is functionally the world's largest anglerfish, basically.
Pretty much.
It's just dangling all its greatness in front of everyone and waiting for them together, so eventually he can snubble them up.
Yeah, and so
with more intricacies.
Yeah, exactly. And so and I will say this too, that when I was talking about sort of our instinctual sort of building some of these, the tropes are a little, they're a trick, for the player, to kind of build up this whole like, oh, of course they're doing it again, but they're not really doing it. And oftentimes, at least Duke, maybe you can talk a little bit about this or how you vibe this, but I feel like we come to those things and then go, oh yeah, that trope means, or that's this. Like we don't intend, or we didn't intend to like create these real world connections to governments gone amok and all that. Please, Daniel.
I will say that I think you need like a bit of a stronger motive for the dragon, right? Because you need a motive that creates history, that goes in, that makes things happen, right? Like by create history, the thing we're always very tempted to do when we're making a setting is to sort of imply that this is a steady state, and adventures are like, an attempt to preserve that steady state, because we get taught that by things like syndicated television, right?
Sure.
Although less so now. Like, I think probably that's one of the positive inputs of culture is that, you know, now that we have these shows where if you like, you know, miss the first season, you're lost forever. Yeah, people do have a sense of, you know, people do really have a kind of a sense of history of time passing. So I think with the dragon, for example, right, you know, the dragon doesn't want people bothering it, so it's playing them off each other. But you know, is the dragon truly immortal? Is the dragon dying? Like what motivates the dragon that will eventually make something different happen
Yeah. Well,
than
so
it going, let's you and them fight.
and the idea is that the dragon keeps these humans low key
Yeah.
engaged, but they've also it has also they have also a kind of extension of themselves in the shepherds, which are
Mhm.
basically little dragon.
Yeah, I saw that. Those are
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they're
The
all kind
shepherds
of
are very cool. I love them.
Duke, I think you said this. They're like drones for the dragon.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think we established that they used to be people that got too deep into the dragon and then somehow got changed. So they mutated into basically kobolds, maybe
Sort
like
of,
the
yeah,
D&D
yeah,
kobolds, like
yeah.
little dragon people that
This is where we
don't
should-
talk.
Yeah.
And that don't talk and just are being helpful to the people who are there, mostly by showing them new places to go, helping them with chores,
Yeah,
being
making sure
generally
that their kids
a
don't get
nice
hurt.
presence.
Yeah.
Every now and then they just look off into the distance and make a weird noise, and then they just continue doing their thing, but they never talk.
Yeah,
And the idea was that they are basically like psychically drones
downloading,
for the dragon who are doing tasks for the dragon. Basically, okay, we need more conflict here, we need less conflict there, we need more people, we need whatever. So they start instigating things to happen so that the will of the dragon can be done without the people knowing it.
Well, so listen, let's do this real quick. The big thing, like, you know, Michael in chat says, I see the dragon as a non-combatant with no dog in the fight. And the reality is, so the dragon has crashed for some reason on this planet, and it's massive. I know Tempo was asking about what we see as, you know, scale and size. It's massive. It's big enough that a capital city is living, you know, in its mouth, to the tune of, I don't know.
Yeah, the Empire State Building teeth, where that was
Right.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. But the reality is that for whatever reason, this dragon has crashed. It caused the cataclysmic sort of upheaval these people move into and onto its body, and they think they're doing it out of their own sense of, you know, sort of agency,
necessity.
And necessity as well. But the dragon is calling them to it. Like, it is basically...
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, the initial settlers were coming out of necessity, but then it started, like, vibing to them you need to be here, come on.
Exactly, right? And you need to make sure that, you know, people are not focused on me. They're focused on the fight between you and the other city, and kind of changing that. And then also have more children, create more mass, because I'm going to wake up soon and I need a meal. And that's kind of the notion, but we haven't really talked about why the dragon crashed. We haven't talked about some of those kind of larger things that are interesting, maybe, but not a first kind of like something that unfolds later. But it,
I would say you can work at it from both directions. Like, you can ask yourself those questions, but also ask yourself what you want the dragon to do, and then rationalize it backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, that's we're kind of doing that a bit. Also retconning a lot of, you know.
I think my rough idea that I was mulling about was more or less that the dragon, through some fight millennia ago, was badly injured, crashed into the planet, and had to go into like a hibernation state, like when vampires go into their torpor thing when they have no blood anymore. So he was basically dying, so he had to hibernate there, and then had to amass energy to basically wake up again, and that's what he's doing
with the
silently through all the people. Yeah,
I know we're up against Malcolm's got a jet. You know, he's a traveling swordsman and often called to sword about the small towns throughout Canada, sort of like the A Team, only you just one guy. Unless you do have a whole crew of swords people that you just kind of roam about Canada, that would be rad.
Well, I do have a crew of swords people. But,
hey, that's awesome.
But we don't. We have roamed from time to time. Like we've roamed to go fight other sword people.
Okay, I like that. So here's what we're gonna do real fast. So Malcolm, it was asking a lot for you to like, hey, absorb all this stuff. Give a little bit of advice to these folks who look to you, me and Duke and Ren, of course, as the penultimate like. You are the professor. You are the sensei.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, especially considering some of the weird tangents I went on today, which I'm still not sure what they have to do with the topic at hand. But I think the main thing I would say is that you want to work from both directions. You want to work from both function and story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the best part is saying like, oh, I want to have this kind of encounter and do this and do that. And then going like, well, what's the excuse for it? And then exploring it like that. Or doing it the other way around of seeing like what the state of the story inspires. Right. So if you look at that in both directions, kind of have those two methods shake hands, then you end up with good stuff. And also like if consider not setting your game in a school.
It's not going to be in a school. It's going to be somewhere in a dragon. Dragon school.
Dragonsville School for Dragoning.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. Well, so always enjoying Malcolm in the Middle. I always enjoy sitting down and having a chat. And thank you for hanging out just a little bit late. But I do want to have you. Well, you already know this, Malcolm, of course. So I'm. While we are almost done, I do want to talk about a very special sale that's begun. It's very important stuff. It is the Green Ronin Back to Ghoul sale. Get it, everybody? Back to Ghoul. And it's really funny. Hey, listen, it is a really good deal. First of all, we have the Fantasy Age Frights bundle. It is 20% off, and you get the core rulebook, you get the bestiary, you get the campaign builder's guide, you get the Fantasy Age layers, and Cthulhu Mythos, all bundled up together to normally $113.06, now $84.80, and those you can find at the link that I just dropped into chat. And we have, I love this one. This is the Back to Ghoul Sales 6 zine bundle powered by Age. And it has the good stuff in it. It has Dread Crawls 0, 1, 2. Dread Crawls, of course, being part of the... explain Dread Crawls real fast before you...
It is the zine we produced to accompany Cthulhu Awakens. And its focus is on generating story elements. There's one that generates maps, there's one that generates events, and there is one that generates storylines. Nice, right? And then so that's that's Dread Calls, and all of those have a Cthulhu Mythos orientation, right? And those particular things don't rely on the Age system, the Dread Crawls, right? Although, it's linked to Cthulhu Awakens in terms of its setting. Engine, of course, is our Age Variety magazine.
Which I love. 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
There's more. Yeah.
Yes. So the third issue is a double-sized version that contains a new implementation of Age called Sage, along with 4 settings. And so if you want to just play one of our games right away, right, you can get it in magazine form, right?
Yeah.
Also, we're going to do more stuff with Sage.
Yay! Sage!
I've been working on that recently. Awesome. I can't tell you anything more about it right now, but there it is.
A little, yeah, I like that. And here's the other thing, friends. Maybe you don't want to buy the entire bundle. Maybe you do, and I suggest you do. But you can pick up the individual products as well for 20% off. So how long will the discounts last? Until Halloween, and then they go away.
They all go away.
They all go away. And they'll come back another day, perhaps. Hey, Malcolm, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. We'll have you back, of course, because we've got all kinds of stuff to talk about as it relates to the Adventure Game Engine, and people are going to have a million questions that they're going to say, why I oughta, because we didn't ask them.
Thanks for your kind words, everyone.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. And yeah, with that, my friend, I bid you farewell. We've got a couple things to talk about. Duke, thank you as well, my friend. I really appreciate you popping in. I know that you're kind of burning the candle at both ends, but I do appreciate it. Our German hanging out with us here during a prime time in the States. I appreciate it. Awesome. And we'll be back next Thursday to talk about some good stuff. But for now, I want to also talk about the fact that there is such a thing. It's called the Atomic Think Tank. And the Atomic Think Tank is a place where it's like what is it? It's like a think tank meets a jazz club meets I don't know. I was going to start just naming off the different clubs that I've heard of, but that's not going to work because it's not at all like a strip club. Thank goodness. But it is a place for you to come and hang out and talk to folks who love the same games that you do and love to play them in the same way that you don't, or maybe they do something totally different. We've got homebrew sections. We've got for every game that we have published, nearly every game that we have published, there's a space for you to come and hang out and learn more and talk more all about it. In addition to that, we have got Office Hours with Troy. It's an event that happens every Thursday evening at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And essentially, here's what we do. You come in, you hang out, you're like, oh gosh, Troy is supposed to give me that thing, or I need that graphic, or I need that other stuff, or I've got an idea for a new whatever. Whatever it is, this is the place. We have been doing this now for quite a few months. And essentially, all you got to do is head over to the Atomic Think Tank, head over to the events. You will see Get Tanked with Troy. You click on it, and you will be taken to a Zoom meeting. And that's where we chat. It can go anywhere from an hour to 3 hours to even more. And of course, you can hang out. You don't have to, it's not like we put you on stage. But if you got something you want to share, you certainly can. Or if you have something that you want to talk about related to the conversation that we're having as a group, or you got your own thing, the mic can be open for you if you so choose, or you can just lurk in the background. We'll say hi, but we won't make you talk. If you don't want to, it's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, in these trying times, it's really nice to sit with a group of people who are all about being creative and having fun. And boy, we literally have talked about everything. I mean, like you name it, we discuss it. And yeah, we'd love for you to be a part of it. Again, head over to atomicthinktank.com. You will see a space for events. All you got to do is click on the Zoom link. You'll be invited into the space, and you will be welcomed, and you can do whatever else you like to do. Hang out and just get to know some new people. Harass the ones you already know, and generally have a good time. Also, I want to remind you to join the GRAD. That's the Green Ronin Atomic Assembly Discord. That is it's our official Discord channel. It used to be the Green Ronin All Ages channel, and it's changed, right, Duke?
Yes, but it was the age
That's right.
appropriate.
Whatever I said. It wasn't-
Discord, the age appropriate Discord, and now it's the
That's
atomic
right.
assembly.
And we are doing events in the space. It is, we're inviting people to come hang out and chat about all kinds of good stuff. So it's a place that you're going to want to hang out.
You can find me
You
there.
will always find Duke there because he is the man with the plan. And now, Duke, you did drop the link. Thank you so much. You are the best.
Yes.
And with that, I
Thank
think
you.
we've covered all of our bases. Hey, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us and listening to us blither blab about design stuff and talk about the adventure game engine. It's fun. We enjoy it and hope you do too. So make sure that you like and share and make sure, send a link to your mom. Say, these gentlemen really know what they're talking about. And I don't think we even cursed once. So, yeah, with that, it's a
mistake.
miracle. Yeah, it's a miracle. Hey, chat, thank you as always. You are a delight and an albatross. To everybody else watching on demand, you come join us in the tank. Don't be a nerd. Goodbye, everyone.
Yep, it's
Bye-bye.
going to be fun.
Bye,
Bye, everyone. Have a good time. See ya.
Yeah, Malcolm's not going to answer a question.